Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. I have a recommendations video for you all, this time for some wedding themed romances. I think it's wedding season right now. I just went to a wedding, so that's the only reason why I think it's wedding season. This is also partly inspired by today's sponsor, which I will get into a little bit. But for anyone who is craving some romances that are set at weddings or are about weddings, I've got you covered. Before I get into all the books, here's a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Pippa Grant. She sent over a box of goodies my way, including her newest release, The Worst Wedding Date. The Worst Wedding Date is her brand new rom-com, and it's a best friend's brother romance. It takes place at a Hawaiian destination wedding where her best friend is getting married. There is a lot of forced proximity here, as it's the heroine's job to babysit her best friend's brother, and in order to watch over him, they have to share a room. They've been enemies since they were kids, and she can't stand him. So if you like bad boy heroes, you'll like this hero because he's a tattooed bad boy and definitely hiding something. There's a reason why he's wreaking havoc everywhere, and it's the heroine's job to keep him in line. But it turns out he may just be a little softy on the inside, and of course she starts falling for him. So our tropes here are forced proximity, the good girl bad boy dynamic, and it's a rom-com. So check out The Worst Wedding Date on Amazon. You can read it for free on Kindle Unlimited. I'll leave a link in my description for you all to download it. Thank you again to Pippa Grant for sponsoring today's video. Alright, getting into my recommendations. The first book that I think of when I think wedding romance is The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. This was one of my favorites from 2020. I think that's when it came out. It's a romance between the heroine and her ex-fiance's brother, who is also the reason why her ex dumped her at the altar. She got stood up, so she does not like this hero. Now they're forced to work together on this marketing wedding project, and there's forced proximity all around. Forced proximity is kind of the go-to trope when it comes to wedding romances, I will say. So you'll see a lot of those in my next few recommendations. Here, there's a little road trip, so these two are stuck in a small car together, and then they have to share a room and a bed at a bed and breakfast, so there is only one bed. It was such a fun read, lots of good family dynamics on the heroine side, and the main characters have some great banter, especially since the heroine has a great reason not to like this hero. Also on my list is Save the Date by Monica Murphy. This one is very cute. The heroine works at this stationery store, so she comes across a lot of weddings. She has a lot of wedding clients, and her newest client is a bridezilla. This client is also none other than the bride of the man who was the heroine's first kiss. They were childhood friends and crushes, but they haven't seen each other for a very long time until now. But then the bride gets caught cheating, so of course they do break up, and this is when the main characters do get to reconnect. They have a super adorable romance. He is very rich and loves to spoil her. There's a part where he flies her to Europe for this really nice vacation, and I was totally projecting myself onto this romance, onto this heroine. He buys her all sorts of things, and it was just great to see. And then I have Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a small town FF romance with a wedding. Delilah is the black sheep of her family, and after her father died, she left as soon as she became an adult. Now she's back in her small town because she's broke and she needs the money that she'll get as her stepsister's wedding photographer. She ends up falling for one of her stepsister's best friends who used to make fun of her along with her stepsister. I love the whole family drama here, and after, you know, the hiccup of their reunion, the romance is actually really sweet. The other heroine is a single mom, and her daughter is great. This one isn't as rom-com-y as my other recommendations, so it's great if you don't want something that's too over the top. And speaking of over the top, I have to recommend the Ballet for Auntie series by Jessie Q. Sutanto. These books are the definition of over the top because they are insane and hilarious. So book one is Ballet for Aunties, and here we have a heroine who accidentally kills her blind date. So she, her mother, and her aunties all try to hide and get rid of the body while they're working at a wedding. It's set at this really nice hotel, so just imagine, you know, a dead body all over the place at this hotel. The heroine runs into her college sweetheart at this place because he or his family run this hotel. So there is a second chance romance here, but the story is mainly just all the shenanigans that the heroine and her family get up to while at this wedding. And then book two is Four Aunties and a Wedding, which is about the heroine's own wedding. And yes, she is getting married to her college sweetheart. But of course, things do not go well for her. Nothing ever does, because she overhears her wedding photographer talking about taking out a hit on someone at the wedding. So now the heroine thinks that this photographer and the photographer's family are part of the mafia and they want to kill someone, so she's just trying to make sure that no one dies at her wedding and that everything goes smoothly. These books are ridiculous, but they are so good. And then I'm recommending Tempting the Best Man by J. Lynn. This one is actually a very old Jennifer L. Armentrout book that she wrote under her pen name J. Lynn. It's a brother's best friend romance. The heroine has had the biggest crush on her brother's best friend for years, but sadly for her, he has sworn off relationships. They bicker and banter all the time except for one night when they slept together 4 years ago. Now they're forced together for her brother's wedding where she is the maid of honor and he is the best man. And not only that, they have to share a hotel room together because all of their friends and family, they're all scheming to get them together. It's a short book, but still very underrated. Definitely one of the older JLA titles that is not talked about, but it's great if you're looking for a quick read. And then I'm recommending The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This one isn't quite as wedding heavy, but it still does center around a wedding, so I'm counting it. The heroine's sister is getting married and she does not want to show up at this wedding single because her ex is going to be there with his fiance. This heroine makes up a lie to her family that she now has a boyfriend, an American boyfriend, and her office nemesis overhears her talking about all of this to her best friend, and he decides to offer himself up as her fake boyfriend slash date to the wedding. They both work at a company in New York, but the heroine's family is from Spain, so the wedding is going to be set there. We have fake dating, office romance, enemies to lovers. The hero does fall first. You can very clearly tell that he has had the biggest crush on her since forever. He just has a terrible way of showing it, and it's all set in the beautiful country of Spain for her sister's wedding. And then I have another wedding themed romance series. This is the Wedding Bell series by Lauren Lane. It's an older series. It came out a while ago, but I still love it. The series is about 3 wedding planners who run this business called the Wedding Bells. Book 1 is To Have and to Hold. The heroine recently moved from LA to New York City because her own wedding flopped big time. She wants a new start, and her first client in New York City is the hero's sister. Unfortunately, the hero is in charge of the purse strings for this wedding and he does not want the wedding to go through. He's determined to make this wedding not happen because he doesn't have a good feeling about the groom. So he tries to make the wedding planner heroine unplan this wedding while she does everything she can to make sure things happen. She wants to make sure that our first New York City wedding goes off without a hitch. So these two are just two opposing forces and it's great. Book 2 is For Better or For Worse, and the heroine here is from a small town and she's just gotten promoted from assistant to wedding planner at the Wedding Bells. Sadly for her, her first wedding only has a timeline of 5 months, which is not a long time at all. So she's working overtime and it doesn't help that she has not been able to sleep because her neighbor, her annoying neighbor, has been blasting music all night. Of course, this guy is none other than the hero and he used to be a workaholic like her until he got diagnosed with cancer, so now he's living life to the fullest. He tries to get the heroine to do the same, so that's their romance, and don't worry, there is a happily ever after at the end of this. I promise no one dies here. And then the third and final book is To Love and to Cherish. The last wedding planner heroine is actually the founder of the Wedding Bells, and she falls for her friend and longtime silent business partner. So it's friends to lovers, and a great thing about this one is that the hero has wanted the heroine since forever. He's been pining for a very long time and now he finally gets his chance when she decides she wants to start dating, and he gets the perfect opportunity when she needs a date for her sister's very sudden wedding. So these 3 are very sweet reads. I highly recommend them, and I love Lauren Lane in general. Another sort of underrated book for a very popular author is Bidding the Maid of Honor by Tessa Bailey. This is one of her older books, a wedding themed novella. It's an opposites attract romance where she is this sorority girl and he is a SWAT commander. This is actually part of a whole wedding themed series called the Wedding Dare series, and each book has a heroine who is dared to hook up with a groomsman at this destination wedding. So in this one we do have lust at first sight. It is Tessa Tessa Bailey still, and the heroine is dared to hook up with a groomsman, but it is not the hero, and he is not happy about that. So he goes after her like your classic alpha Tessa Bailey hero with some great dirty talk. It's a novella, but it's perfectly short and hot. And then I'm recommending The Wedding Game by Meghan Quinn. This one has a unique twist to a typical wedding romance because it's actually centered around a reality TV show. It's a crafting slash DIY contest to create the dream, the ultimate dream wedding. The heroine is all about crafts, and she very happily joins this show because she wants her brother to get his dream wedding, and the hero is on the opposite spectrum. He very reluctantly joins this contest after his brother begs him to help with his wedding. So the main characters are competing against each other on this show, and sparks fly. It's a great rom-com. Meghan Quinn always writes hilarious books, and this one was very fun. I also did want to mention a couple books that are on my TBR. I haven't read them yet, but they are wedding themed and they sound amazing. Like I mentioned earlier, The Worst Wedding Date by Pippa. This one is a best friend's brother wedding romance. Here is Jana Goes Wild. This is a second chance romance between co-parents. It's set at this destination wedding in Tanzania. And then another book on my TBR is The Worst Best Man by Lucy Score. It's an enemies to lovers romance between the maid of honor and the best man. And that is all I have for some wedding themed romance recommendations. If you have your own, please feel free to share them because I do love reading them. As always, links to everything will be down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!